Good afternoon, everybody. Chubs C coming at you here. I'm out for my walk, my daily walk I try to take advantage of. Try to get in a few miles a day if I can. Today's definitely a day I wanted to get out and get some exercise. It's a special day for myself here. It's an anniversary of sorts. One that I try to remember every year, January 15th. Yep, this day back in 2005 was the last day I took a drink. I've been sober for 20 years now. 20 years. That's quite an accomplishment. Sobriety at any length is a great accomplishment. 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. Anybody who tries to get sober and is able to stay clean, stay dry, whatever you want to call it, that is one hell of an accomplishment. As they say, one day at a time. It's been 20 years for me. 20 years, 240 months, 7,305 days to be exact. That's quite an accomplishment. I never thought I'd make it more than a year. And then 2 years went by. It got easier at that point. 5 years, 10 years, 15, and now 20 years. Really proud of that. Oh my Lord.
Sir,
hey, how are you?
So like buy some tickets with your partner.
Yes.
Weekend.
Good.
Just look for me.
Yes, you're the best.
Okay.
See you. What was the name again?
Resley.
Resley. All right. See you, girls. Thank you. This is why I'm here. Not for the shower. Not for the shower. Not for this water window. But for this whole experience right here. Look at this infinity pool. How cool is this? January 15th has significance for me for a couple reasons. It was my ex-wife's birthday, plus it was the last day I got myself in a ringer by getting myself a DUI back in 2005. Took her to the airport, came home, went straight to the bar, ended up in jail that night for the next 3 nights. Had to pay bail bondsman to get me out, paid the $1,000, went to court, did all that stuff, got myself into treatment for about a year, and have been sober ever since. I graduated college in 1994. And college really was a great time. Probably too good a time. It was the early years of my drinking, smoking some pot here and there. After I graduated college and hooked up with a career there early in my life and transferred out to Delaware for several years. Every day I'd go to my happy hours. I'd work my Best Buy job as a manager. I was a key holder and I'd go in and I'd be all hungover. Look at this guy skimming that brick wall. And then he'll skim it again after he does this scratch coat or this concrete layer with some thinner mud, a couple coats, and then it'd be an easier sand before painting and everything. Now he's figuring out how he's going to get up and do the top of that. Hello, hello. That's awesome. I can't believe he noticed me. That's so cool. What a nice looking place. It's taken a while for them to get this built, but boy, what a great looking place. Yeah, I knew I had an issue there for many a year. Out in Delaware, it wasn't just beers, it became shots at the bar. We did a lot of shots in addition to beer in Delaware. I wasn't healthy. I was probably 145 pounds, 6 feet. I was rail thin. I didn't like to eat very much. I like to drink. I'd go to work from like 6 to 3, 4, whatever it was, be in salary whenever I could peel away from Best Buy. I'd go straight to the Valley Tavern bar where there was a great bartendress there, very attractive. She would give me several free beers a night. I think I only tipped her for a couple of years there. I was there every night. I'd have beer after beer after beer. And then at the end of the night, I'd give her like a $20 bill. I don't think I paid for a beer for a couple of years. So they had like a gambling machine where you could actually gain tickets and get paid for them. And we were pretty professional at that thing. So at the end of the night, about 2:30 in the morning, we'd kick everybody out. Sometimes we knew when that machine would hit, so we'd kick them out early so that we could hit. We were taking home, you know, $100 a week sometimes, if not more, because we knew when the machine was gonna hit. I'd get home by about 3:30, pass out. I'd had to be back at work at 6 a.m. to Best Buy. I was a mess. I was a serious mess. I lived in Delaware from like 94 till about 99 when I moved back with Best Buy to Minnesota. With Best Buy, yeah, they transferred me back. I met a gal in Delaware that had some children. We were together from 97, probably 96 till 2005, 9 years. We came back to Minnesota with a couple children, and I worked Best Buy and she worked FedEx. The drinking eventually caught up to me. We ended up getting a divorce because of it. So the alcoholism cost me not only a marriage, but also a great job with a great company. Best Buy was one of the largest electronics big box stores in the United States. I'd say I probably consumed about 10 beers a night, somewhere from like 4 o'clock till 2 in the morning. 12 ounces of beer, 10 beers a night, 120 ounces, comes out to about 7.5 pounds of beer I was running through my system every single day. Weekends were probably more than that, plus some shots included here and there. At that bar I would go to, I actually took a job for a while. I was the happy hour cook. I'd put together pizzas. I don't even remember what other treats I would put out there at happy hour time. Make sure that it was stocked. Mingle, mix and mingle with everybody, socialize. Most of the time I just hide in the kitchen, drink some beer, listen to Jimmy Buffett, hang out. I look back, it was good days when I was all caught up in it. I thought I was the Duke of Duluth, having a good old time, drinking every day, smoking. I was smoking cigarettes at the same time. Again, unhealthy as all get out. But when you're 28, 29, 30 years old, your body's pretty resilient yet. You can handle a hangover. I had a lot of issues in my upbringing. Parents divorced early, you know, some things that I had just buried. Don't express feelings, don't talk about things, sweep it under the rug. Well, those things kind of added up. Some failed relationships along the way. I just wasn't comfortable being with the same girl more than a year and a half, it seemed like. So things just all started catching up to me. Nobody ever really confronted me about my issue. Of course, my wife did, or my girlfriend at the time. We were only married for about a year and a half of that 8 years we were together. Maybe it was a couple, 2-3 years, I don't even know. We'd have arguments about it, yes. It affected the children, the family setting that I thought I was doing well at. Well, no. I was repeating exactly what my father and my stepmother did to me, my brother, and my sister. Yelling, screaming, disciplining. The day it all ended was January 15, 2005 when I got that DUI. After treatment started, my AA programs, I started to take them to heart after, a few months of them. And I knew I didn't want to do that any longer. I had done that for several years and I was tired of it. It was unhealthy. I had ruined several things in my life. It was time to take and grasp onto this and stay sober. I remember AA meetings, a lot of the same people in the same boat. I was 35. There were people older than me. I remember thinking about these older gents, like they're old cronies. Some of them had 2, 3, 4. One gentleman had like 7 or 8 DUIs. What they were doing is they were trying to lessen the penalty. If you get a DUI, you're pretty much told if you go into an AA program, if you start to do a self-assessment, chemical dependency assessment, figure out if you have a problem. When you go to court, it'll look better for the prosecuting attorney, for the judge, especially if you are making the meetings religiously. And that's what I did. I got an attorney, of course, and all. My DUI ended up costing me about $10,000 or $15,000. Me being 35 or 36 going through treatment, I felt like I was old. There was a lot of younger kids that were coming through the program at that time. A lot of teenagers that had already been through treatment several times. I remember thinking to myself that they're so young and they're committing to a life of sobriety where they'll never be able to smoke, drink, inject, take pills ever again. I felt bad for them, but I felt good for them. Then the older gents that were in there, I felt bad for them as well. But a lot of them were repeaters, relapsed. They just couldn't get past it any longer. They kept relapsing. I was hoping some of those younger lives were going to be saved from the disease of alcoholism or drug abuse. Half a year of treatment programs and outpatient programs. I just remember that the trees were greener, everything was clearer, my head was cleared. I had detoxed long enough. I was getting healthier. I was gaining some weight. Life was happier. Treatment program was great. Everything was good. It's a really good feeling when you're able to admit your faults, when you're able to clean yourself up and get sober. And then there was a couple kicks in the ass when my AA meetings that I had gone to. The people I had trusted with some of the stories I was telling. I remember seeing them at the bars, some of the old cronies, and I saw them drinking. Well, that just blew me away. And then some people would come up to me and say, I thought you were AA. And I was like, yeah, I am. I'm drinking a Coke here, or I got a Gatorade, or I got a Red Bull. And they were proud. But then they started telling me the stories that I was telling in AA, which really set me back, pissed me off. I quit going to that program for a while. It was too close to home. I had too many friends in there, too many people I trusted. I was getting stabbed in the back. That's the downfall of some of these programs, is you reveal such deep, intimate stories and feelings, and you believe you're trusted with that confidentiality, but sometimes you're not. Remember when I first moved here, everybody was leaving comments like, what are you doing in AC? And I'm sure they still ask that question. What are you doing in AC? It's such a heavily sexualized, alcohol-driven town. You don't have to be a drinker to live here. Me being sober for many, many years, it was tough at first to accept not drinking around people. The problem wasn't me so much as it was the others. They didn't know how to accept me being sober around them any longer. So things had changed. The friends that I had were still drinking as much as I drank back in the day. It seems like the social circles that you involve yourself in when you're a drinker like that, when somebody changes, it changes the whole dynamic. They accept it while they're sober, but when you go out and you're hanging with these people, after they get to a certain point, the witching hour I call it, their stories revolve and they tell the same stories over and over. And then they start worrying about you being sober, and I think they internalize a little bit, or they do some self-inspection, because then they start saying, I'm really proud of you, man. This is great. This is so great. You were drinking so much. I know I gotta probably cut back a little bit myself. I got an issue, but maybe I don't, and then they're in denial, and I was in denial for so long. I didn't accept it. I didn't want to accept it. When I got my ass in the ringer, I had to accept it, and then it was time for change. I knew it was time for change a lot earlier than I actually decided to change. And then when I changed, like I said, it was the best thing in the world, but it was tough. It was tough for a year. It was tough for a couple of years. You need to have a higher power. You need to work the 12-step program. Maybe you don't, maybe you do, but I did, and I took it to heart. You need to have somebody there to support you. You need to have a sponsor. You need to have your parents, like I had my parents with me. My mother was my biggest supporter in regards to that. She had been sober for 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, there was some deep conversations. There was some great therapy going on there with my mother. She was definitely my higher power in regards to all my drinking problems, my self-inspection, my keep up the good work. She was my higher power. Mom, you're my mom, man. I love you for that. You were there for me whenever I needed you. Yeah, I didn't think I needed you as much as I probably should have taken advantage of everything that you did for me. But that was just my upbringing. It's tough for me to open up, admit my faults, rather than just fix my faults. My dad was just a fixer and bury it, whereas my mom was a self-inspection, figure out why and where and how come you're acting that way, why are you drinking so much, what's the problems, which took a long time. All through my AA recovery programs and my meetings, you know, sometimes you talk to sound good rather than talk to figure out what's going on. I took it all in. I talked to figure it out. I talked to help others. I went and I talked at different homes and places about my story and what I had learned through my sobriety, how far I had fallen. People always ask, and they will ask, you know, how did you know when you knew to stop? Why did you stop? The why is because I got my ass in a ringer. The when was a lot earlier than I had actually quit. I knew I had issues, but I was in denial. How did I know I had issues? Well, everything starts revolving around it. You line up football games on Sundays with friends so that you make sure that you're going to have access to alcohol. And happy hours 3-4 times a week. My weekends would turn into a Thursday start to drink and then stop Sundays because I know I had to go to work. Sunday pass out, eating minimally and drinking more. It's when you plan family functions around alcohol. You do picnics, you do events, you make sure you got bottles or booze or beers. You revolve around the friends that are in this similar situation where they like to drink, like you do. You shoot pool leagues, dart leagues, horseshoe leagues. You're just caught up in the social scene. I was a social butterfly, enjoying my life, and I was ruining it with the drink. A lot of people can social drink. I couldn't. It all started out that way, but then it was just drink until I was passing out or until the alcohol ran out. There's a lot of drinkers here in Angeles City. A lot of retired expats, a lot of Filipinos. I can see alcoholics quite often. Play pool league with people who drink quite a bit. I play pool league with people who don't drink at all. I have a lot of friends here that don't drink, and there's a lot of friends here that do drink. I don't hold it against them. I don't analyze them. I don't judge them. If they want to live that life, they can. They've earned it. They can do what they want to do. It's just when it starts to cause them health or personal or family or financial issues, you need to take a look at that, and hopefully they're able to make adjustments rather than get divorces, run out of money, endanger their health, start fighting and avoiding others. That's when you know it's time to seek help, to take a break, to cut back if you can do it. I was cut it all out rather than think I could cut back and keep drinking. There was no way I would have been able to cut back. There'd be those nights where it would just go ramp right back up and go even harder. So if you think you might have issues, if you think you are an alcoholic and you want to change, well then make that change. Seek that help. Go to an AA program. Here in Angeles City, there is AA at the VFW post 2485 every day of the week pretty much. There might be 1 or 2 days where it's at a different location, but at noon every day at the VFW, it seems like there's an AA program going on. If you feel you got a problem, walk through that door. Tell them your story. Listen to other similar stories. It was the most beneficial days of my life when I actually embraced my sobriety, embraced my treatment programs. I haven't relapsed. I will not relapse. It's been 20 years. If you think you have issues, reach out, find help, figure out if you have a problem or not. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It could be the best days of your life, everybody. I won't talk about this most of the year. I may bring it up on my anniversaries because I'm proud of myself and I'm proud of the steps I took. It takes a strong person to admit their faults. It takes a weak person to hide and do damage to themselves. Figure out what person you are, what person you want to be.